Hey everyone, this is Walter, and we're here once again to talk about our good friend Lucas Werner. He's a man who only became infamous in 2016 for creeping on a young Starbucks barista and then calling the news, who took Starbucks aside. But this is his writing from 2010. I'll link to part 1 in the description, but let's get started with Lucas Werner's autobiography. Okay, so last time Lucas had finally come to a very strange conclusion, that his friend Cyril was surrounding himself with shy, unassertive younger guys so he can look better for all the women. Yeah, like a woman only having ugly friends so she can be the hot one. This just isn't how life works, Lucas. Let's hear more ranting about the man who kept him off the streets for free for many months. This bait and switch has had detrimental effects on all 3 of our lives. Mine, Patrick's, Brian's. I have always suspected Cyril has called me gay behind my back because he has called Patrick gay behind his back. He has called Brian gay behind his back, and I'm just like Patrick and Brian. Intelligent, kind of bookish in private, wanting to be more social, shy around women. But Cyril has never stood up for any of us when we are not around. He has always talked shit behind our backs because I've heard he talks shit, even from other people, not even connected to any one of the 3 of us. Cyril has called us gay behind our backs and has spread vicious rumors so we end up looking like the bad guys / chumps and he ends up looking like a king. Cyril is insecure and hates competition to the extent that he will befriend younger guys with the express purpose of talking shit behind their backs so he looks like the hero. If I have something to say to someone, I say it to their face. I don't sneak around like a cheating fake friend and a pussy-ass bitch. The lamest part is that he gets others to do it and join in the fun too. But I know he calls me gay behind my back, and I know he talks shit. I've heard what he does from other guys he's done this to. It might be why, whenever he's talked about Patrick or Brian, he's sold them out as queer, when they haven't been. If he's done it to them, I'm sure he's done it to me. Thanks, Cyril. I want you to know that you're the fakest friend I've ever had. You're a pussy-ass bitch. You're insecure. You use younger guys to get women into bed with you. This makes you the biggest tool on the planet as far as I'm concerned. Read it. Really take it in, because I knew you to be a sellout. How exactly does one use Lucas Werner to get women into bed with them? I mean, it's on brand for him to say that. He also thought I was making videos about him to get laid somehow. Not sure how that works. But also, how is this unhinged rant about his friends supposed to help queer youth think things will get better? I mean, that's what he's supposed to be doing right now, right? You sell out your younger male friends. You pretend you are their friend, and you use people to turn on each other so you will end up looking like the hero. When it's you we all have come to straighten it all out in the end. Karma's a bitch. You better watch your fucking back, friend. You'd better watch it good. I'm going to make sure everyone knows what a sellout and a tool you really are to your younger male friends, so no one else gets hurt by your malevolent pussy-ass bitch ways ever again. I hope you sleep soundly tonight knowing how hard you have made Brian's, Patrick's, and my lives in being able to feel secure around women like you do. You use people. You use Patrick, you use Brian, and you've used me. Who else have you hurt? Cyril, you are a fucking sellout fake. I know I will sleep better after sending this to Patrick and Brian, and even Justin, who will probably just ignore it or tell me to grow up. I hope he doesn't, but don't care. Justin has always been a true friend and a really stand-up guy. I have never heard a bad rumor about Justin. I'm not even being hyperbolic this time. I've never heard anyone talk shit about Justin. I think it's because he's a decent human being, something you wouldn't know anything about. The stunt you pulled, the game you've run, it's going to catch up to you when you least expect it. And when I hear about what some young man does to you, I'm going to laugh. I don't care what it is. Cyril, traitor to young men everywhere. You deserve your comeuppance, pal. I can't wait to hear about it too. I really hope you survive whatever is coming down on you, because as much as I hate you, no one deserves to feel the pain you have put some good young men through over the years. Even a lowlife like you deserves just the tiniest room to apologize and to wiggle around a little. Even if every one of us knows that if it's coming from Cyril, it's probably just another scam to help his station in life somehow and eventually damage someone else. Wow, Lucas identified so strongly and proudly as a young man, pretty much the exact same way he does about being older now. The things I censored are Cyril's last name. I guess Lucas wants to use this essay to incite young men to go attack him. What a nut job. I sure hope you sleep well, Cyril. I don't know if there is a hell. If there is, Satan has a nice toasty fire lit for you right under your bed tonight. And every night. I sure hope you're comfortable. I hope you sleep like a fucking baby, old friend. I sure haven't been. But I will sleep well now, knowing a lot of people will read this and realize what a greedy, selfish worm you are. Take care. Be safe. Thanks for being the greatest fake friend a guy could ever want or have. Awesome. You don't know if there's a hell? Sounds kind of agnostic rather than atheist, Lucas. Which is something he apparently did blow up on Cyril for, according to his side of the story. Well, let's find out if it actually gets better. I used to get up at 4 a.m. to walk to McDonald's to offload truck and then go home, just wanting to relax a bit and sleep. Cyril and Michelle pretty much ruled the roost. While Cyril and she played video games with their friends or together, I felt left out because of my early morning schedules that often dissolved into working open shift and then graveyard, then lunch. I mean, my schedule was pretty much whenever McDonald's wanted me. I didn't have much of a life. My life involved going to work and coming home to Cyril expecting me to do laundry or clean the place while he and Michelle were at work. And sometimes I did. I chipped in when I could. I made a concerted effort to be helpful. But man, I'm telling you, sometimes I just didn't have the energy. I needed to sleep. I needed to regroup and relax. I needed to study. I remember Michelle coming home before Cyril, and we both just needed to take our minds off work and hang out. We played games, visited. It was cool for a little while. But then Cyril started getting jealous. He would bitch and moan about the laundry not being done, or the floor not being vacuumed, or dishes in the sink. And that was cool. Michelle and I would do a load. We'd wash the dishes and go back to just hanging out and unwinding after work. Then Cyril and Michelle started to fight. They'd go through little stuff and it would blow over. Awkward, but manageable. It was weird, but we all worked through it. Then Cyril started working more hours at Circuit City. He got a promotion. That's when shit started hitting the fan. He wasn't home as much. He'd work late and come home and start being an asshole to Michelle at first. He'd get passive-aggressive, then start insulting her. Okay, I'd like to remind everyone that even though he's probably getting the basic events right, Lucas isn't really capable of understanding what was going on in the relationship. And according to Cyril himself, Lucas being there was a big source of contention in their relationship, but he doesn't seem to realize that. Calling her names, saying she didn't do her part. And maybe that was true. She was hanging out with her friends after hours where she worked. She had her life. Cyril had his life. And I was there, kind of in the middle of it all. Pretty soon Cyril started making snap judgments on me not doing anything and being really callous and mean. I think he felt like I was becoming too close to Michelle. We were all friends. I wasn't going to try anything. But he appeared jealous for some reason. I never so much as made eye contact with Michelle at some points because that was Cyril's girl, and he was my friend, and I didn't want him to feel jealous anymore, or think I was going to hit on his girl. When he got home, the TV, the computer, the stereo, that was all his. I mean, he owned it all, so when he got off work he wanted to use it all. He'd see me watching a show or working on a project from school online and would ask me every 5 minutes when he could have his computer and TV back. I'd rush with unfinished schoolwork so he could have his space back, which was pretty much every part of the apartment except my bedroom. It's pretty funny how Lucas makes it seem like he has no free time because he's either working or studying or cleaning. Like if he was working full time, yeah, that sucks, but you can't convince me it leaves you with no free time and that he spent another 8 hours cleaning at home every day. Fucking come on. But then maybe I'd have a question or a comment and he'd snap at me and I'd tell him I didn't want to get into their personal drama and was just going to go hang out in my room. So that's where I went. I tended to the herb we were growing in my bedroom closet space and I'd hang out in there. Pretty soon Cyril started having his work friends over. And hey, I was cool with that. No need to be in the picture if he wanted to hang out with his work friends. That was cool. Whatever. Well, as you can imagine, being in my bedroom all day started getting boring. I'd do nothing but hang out with the plant, maybe read a little, so sure. I felt a little left out. I'd go out in the living room and see what everyone was up to. I tried my best to be friendly. And I was. We'd smoke a bowl and hang out. It was actually kind of cool to meet new people. I was shy at first, but I warmed up after a while. It was fun. But how much can a guy take of Cyril and his friends talking about games I never played, or movies I never watched, or music I haven't heard yet? It's not like I wasn't interested, but it started to wear me down. I'd ask questions. I'd get snappy little rude replies and felt like Cyril was intentionally trying to appear cool to impress his friends, which is only natural. That's what you do if you know about something more. So Lucas is getting confused and annoyed, and let's be real, he's being weird about Michelle too. I highly doubt the problem is Cyril being jealous about Lucas spending time with her. She's probably complaining to him about whatever. You spread the knowledge you pick up and spitball until something sticks. That's how things stay relevant. But I mean, dude, how much of one guy can anyone handle? His friends would yawn and get bored, and I'd be left kind of holding the baton when he left the room for a minute. His friends would say what's up to me, and I'd say what's up. We'd get to know each other a bit and try to get a feel for each other, test the waters, see how to keep the conversation going. You know, his friends and I started to visit, but sure enough, Cyril started to get jealous because myself and his friends started to become friends, and Cyril would start to become disinterested in me and his friends, who were starting to also become my friends, and we would bullshit. I would try to pull Cyril in. He would kind of wave us on, so we'd feel awkward. His friends would pull him in and, he'd do his thing, they'd do theirs. I'd do mine. It would be cool. We'd share some laughs. But after a while, it started to become like a competition. He wanted his friends back, and I enjoyed their company, but saw they were his friends, and I'd eventually excuse myself to tend to the plant and do my thing. It's like he's trying to explain what basic human interaction is to me, and his take on it isn't really landing with me either. From his own story, even, he's trying way too hard. I'd be curious to see how this actually played out. It kind of just became what it used to be, until they would ask about me. Where's Luke? What's he up to? Cyril, I feel he could have been more inclusive, but I didn't want to feel like the third wheel, so I'd see myself out of their shenanigans. But it started to become awkward again. They would eventually get up and knock on my door and try to roust me while Cyril kind of just sulked, and I wasn't oblivious to this. I knew he wanted his buddies back, and that was fine. They became insistent because how much of one guy could anyone take? I'd try my hardest to make myself scarce. They'd bug me until I'd join, so I would. Cyril would put me on the spot and he would test me. Try to get them to laugh at me and make me into the heel. I put up with it a little bit, but it would become a bit much, so I would excuse myself while Cyril would jibber-jabber about things he didn't like about me, or thought were strange. It would force me to confront him, which made the other guys kind of creeped out. They'd come over less and less. So Cyril's friends stopped coming over because he was being mean to Lucas, who everyone loved. He was just going on about being shy, but I guess he has a lot of charisma too. Cyril would take it out on me and bring up my poor cleaning skills, or I'd start running out of cash and would ask for a little of his food to eat. We had separate food areas in the fridge and cupboards. Mistake, by the way. What was Cyril's, and what was mine or Michelle's was also Cyril's, because we were constantly running out of food. He made more money than Michelle and I pretty much combined working fast food while he raked it in over at the Circuit City. Michelle and I would either have to beg for something to eat some days, sneak something when he wasn't looking, or go hungry that night. He'd notice, of course, and would get angry. Michelle and he would argue about small shit that became big shit. He would try to garner my support. I didn't want to get involved. He would call me a traitor. Michelle finally broke up with him. He chased her down the parking lot with $100 bills, begging her to come back. Man, Lucas weighed like 400 pounds. I can't even deal with him acting like he's in a concentration camp or something. I think that worked maybe once. The next time she walked off and caught a bus out because her car had been down in Aberdeen because it had broken down. Cyril and Michelle broke up and I had to be a shoulder to cry on. Eventually, I don't want to sound like I am being selfish, but it gets a little tiring having to be there for a guy who won't stop crying about his love life, calling her on the phone to get her back. I had to start living my life. I'd tell him to move on. He wouldn't. Michelle and Cyril would start vying over my attention. Eventually, it became a bit much. I was losing sleep due to the phone arguments and her coming back and forth to check on things and get her stuff and move out. Now, the deal always was that if Michelle or Cyril signed off on the apartment, one of the two would have to pick up the slack. My stake was 1/3. That agreement didn't last long. I eventually was asked to pay half, which I couldn't afford and also keep fed, but hey. I had nowhere else to go, and Cyril and Michelle never allowed me to be a co-signer on the lease, so I was stuck. I had to pay the half Cyril requested or live on the streets. And so I paid. I didn't eat some nights. Cyril gorged himself on the food he bought or the constant supplies his mom would give him, and I went hungry. Poor Lucas, he was pretty much in a third world country. Cyril's version of this tells us how Lucas was already unemployed by the time Michelle moved out, so he was basically being put up for no reason while he refused to look for work and called himself the Wizard. Man, I wish he still called himself the Wizard. That is hilarious. Anyway, I think that's about all the time I have for you today. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you have something to say about the writing or my content in general, let me hear it in the comments. I'll be here while the video's new. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more of the same and Reddit stories. Big thanks finally to my amazing patrons who help by supporting me more directly over on Patreon. Really helps me out. I'll be back soon with Nice Guys probably. Have a great day, everyone. And I wonder if any disgruntled young men ever attack Cyril after reading this.